Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. First of all, I want to say thank you to Governor Andrew Cuomo for joining us here in Monroe County. We appreciate the governor's continuous support and his presence today to discuss the situation here in Monroe County. The governor has been fully supportive since the inception of this event, and his staff has been incredibly helpful. And so please join me in thanking Governor Andrew Cuomo. This afternoon, you will hear remarks from both utility companies. You'll be hearing from Mark Lynch, who is the CEO of Rochester Gas and Electric Company. You'll also be hearing from Ken Daly, who is with National Grid, and he is the leader of their entity as well. Following their remarks, you will be hearing from Mayor Lovely Warren. And concluding today's press event, you will be hearing from the Honorable Andrew Cuomo, Governor of New York State. On behalf of the County of Monroe, I want to tell everyone again, the safety of our residents is number one and paramount. Since the inception of this event, our operations center has been open from the onset of the event, and it will continue to be open 24 hours as it has been until this event is concluded. I also want to advise our residents, again, talking about safety. The weather is now turning a little colder. Tomorrow will be even colder yet. We are going to be experiencing dangerous wind chill conditions. We want to make sure that all of our residents continue to remain safe. So what does that mean? So it means that if you have been at your house and you have been without heat, and now the weather is becoming more challenging, please continue to reach out to us. We have the resources available to make sure that you have safe and warm shelter so that you won't have to endure the weekend weather that we are anticipating. We have had 4 shelters operational. The David Gant Community Center has been operational as a shelter for overnight accommodations. In addition, sheltering has been available in the town of Greece, the town of Gates, and the town of Arundecoit. As we go forward, we may open additional shelters if necessary. But in order to properly staff and make sure that everybody's needs are met, we need you to please reach out to us. You know, I know that some people have been at home, and if you're looking for shelter, certainly reach out to your friends, reach out to your relatives. If they have heat, I'm sure that they'd love to have you join them. If you don't have that available to you, call 911 and we will get you shelter. As we're planning for this evening, we would ask that you do so as soon as possible so that we can properly accommodate you and your needs. Again, the weather conditions, with the temperatures especially, are continuing to decline, and we want to make sure that all of our residents remain safe. So please reach out to us at 911, and we'd be happy to continue to assist you. Warming centers for daytime conditions are open throughout the community. Check for details with your local towns and the city of Rochester, but safe to say that there are numerous warming stations for you to access as well. I also want to say thank you to all of our first responders for the great efforts that they have expended throughout this event. We will be with you through the end of the event. Please stay safe. On behalf of all of the citizens, we want all of our community to remain safe throughout this event, and we are here to support you. Call 911 and we will be there for you. At this point, I'd like to introduce Mark Lynch from Rochester Gas and Electric Company.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Again, I'm Mark Lynch, President and CEO of RG&E. And I would also like to thank Governor Cuomo for calling us together today and actually addressing this very important issue for all of our customers here at RG&E and specifically in Monroe County. I'd like to thank all the first responders, all the county personnel, all the City of Rochester personnel that has helped us through this event over the last couple days, basically to make sure that we're to the point where we are now. And I think the important thing is to realize that this storm was somewhat unprecedented. We had over 190,000 customers out. We had about 3,000 wires down. We had over 400 broken poles. When you look at the damage and the sustained winds that happened with this event, we had a record here, I think at least the second highest record, I should say, at the Rochester Airport of a gust of 82 miles an hour. I think the record was 89. We saw these winds being sustained over almost an entire 24-hour period. And when you look at the damage here that a lot of you have seen out in your communities and neighborhoods, is very, very significant. So where are we now? Basically, we have about 1,500 people on the ground right now. The majority of those are here in Monroe County and Rochester. We have about 634 additional people coming. This morning we were able to work with NYPA and the municipalities in the area, basically to secure additional resources that are on their way to us. We also have a call out to mutual aid, which is amongst the other utilities, to bring in additional resources as we go through the day and into tomorrow. I think the important thing is that people really want to know what our estimated ETR, or estimated time of restoration, is. And when we look at Monroe County, and I'll focus on that, some of our other outlying areas over in our NYSEG service territory and actually down in SOTUS will probably be a little bit quicker. But in Monroe County, where we had the majority of the damage, we're probably looking at having about 90% of our customers restored by the end of the day on Sunday. What that will mean is about 10% of those will go into Monday. We'll pick up the majority of those, and then essentially we'll have some stragglers, either very intense pockets of damage or areas that we haven't been able to access yet, and they will probably go on until the Tuesday timeframe. But I would say from a planning perspective for all of the people out there that we're really looking at having 90% of all of our customers in the Monroe County area restored by the end of the day on Sunday. And as I said, the majority of the remaining 10% will actually be restored on Monday, with a few stragglers going into Tuesday. I do want to say this, that RG&E as well as NYSEG really look at our customers and really live and die by the communities that we serve. Most of our employees are actually in these communities. We have our employees that are impacted as well, and we're making sure that we're doing everything possible basically to restore the power as quick as possible. So with that, I will turn it over to Ken Daly, who is president of National Grid New York. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, and good afternoon. As Mark said, I'm the president of National Grid, and really wanted to start also by reiterating the need for safety. We are nearing the completion of our restoration, and we'll just remind everyone there's a lot of our crews, a lot of heavy equipment out there, and a plea for everyone just to remain safe as we finalize restoration. We'd also like to thank our customers for their patience. 1 minute is too long to be without power, and unfortunately, because of the extreme weather, we've had an extended power outage. We have seen 171,000 outages across National Grid's upstate service territory. As I speak, we've now restored 150,000 of the customers, and we have 21,000 outages remaining. Our estimated time of response, our commitment is that we would restore 90% of the customers by tonight. We are well on the way to meet that commitment, and we actually hope to exceed the commitment and then finish up with any remainders over the weekend. We have a very, very large workforce. We have over 1,800 employees. They are working a shift that starts at 6 in the morning, goes 16 hours until 10 at night, and then we have another shift that comes in on the overnight crew. I was just out in the field with the crew. They are working around the clock to restore the power. They are local. Many of them, as you heard from Mark, live and work right here. Others come from Albany, Syracuse, our New England operations, and in some cases as far from downstate New York. They are all singly focused right now on finishing the restoration. As I said, we hope to be done with more than 90% by tonight, and then any remainder over the weekend. For this county, we serve about 10% of the customers, so we started with roughly 20,000 outages here in the county. Pleased to report that we're down to a little over 3,000. Again, we will focus on getting that number down to 0. We believe we will complete the bulk of the remainder today, and then the others going into the weekend. Our employees are making outreach calls to any critical care customers, so any customers in need. We are offering them our services. We are putting them in touch with the local communities, and you have our commitment on behalf of National Grid that every one of our employees will be on the ground until we have completed this restoration. At this point, I will turn it over to the mayor.
Thank you all. Again, I want to reiterate what the county executive has already stated. I want to thank the governor for coming. I want to thank the county executive for her leadership, also National Grid and RG&E for their support. Also want to thank our teams in the county and city, our public service people that are out there working overtime to make sure that our residents are not only getting the power that they need, but getting their properties cleared as well. The city has opened up the Gantt Center. The Gantt Center has been open up since the inception of this particular event. It's providing 24-hour service through the Red Cross. We have food, we have power. People have the ability to take showers there as well. We have also opened up our centers. All of our centers, most of them will be open till 6:30 tonight, and some until 8 p.m. Tomorrow, all of our centers will be open from 10 to 5, where we will provide some lunch and some other snacks for individuals that need to have that support in our neighborhoods. Again, the Gantt Center will continue to be open. On Sunday, from 10 to 5, our centers will remain open as well. So we ask people not to stay in their homes. We do believe we still have about 7,500 people in the city of Rochester that do not have power. This is why we are opening up these facilities and keeping them open so that you can get the support that you need. Medical Motors, as well as RGRTA, are providing transportation to individuals. So if you can call them, you can also call 911 if you need that support. So please, for our senior citizens and other individuals, do not stay in your homes if you do not have power, because we do anticipate that the temperature will drop tonight and that you will need to be in a safe place. Your safety is our number one concern. I do want to thank, and particularly thank Governor Cuomo for his leadership. He called on Wednesday when this windstorm started to happen. He personally called to let us know that he was here to support us, to work with us, and whatever we needed, that he would be there. He's here today with his team, assessing, not only assessing, but also putting things into place, working with our Public Service Commissioner, as well as NYPA and other people, to make sure that we get the resources and the support that we need on the ground. We know that people are a little bit frustrated, but we are doing everything that we can, and we would not be able to do a lot of this without the governor's support. And so with that being said, I want to welcome Governor Cuomo back to Rochester. He's no stranger to Rochester, but we know that he completely supports us and has been supporting us since the beginning of this event. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First, let me begin by applauding the mayor and the county executive, who've done a great job under difficult circumstances, and their whole teams that have been organized in dealing with this emergency. Let's give them a round of applause, because they really have done outstanding work. I'd also like to recognize Brigadier General Ray Shields, who's with us today. We have Mark Lynch, who you heard from RG&E. We have Kevin Riley from the State Police. We have Rich Black from New York State Office of Emergency Management. Commissioner of State Transportation Matthew Driscoll and his team are here. Dan O'Hara from the Office of Emergency Management. Gil Quinones, who is in charge of New York Power Authority, which has been very helpful, and Greg Sayer, who is a commissioner with the Public Service Commission. I want to thank them and thank them for all their work, and the men and women of the National Guard, who are always extraordinary and always willing to help. Mother Nature is upset. 80 miles an hour winds are very serious. The amount of damage that was done is serious. When you talk about 300, 400 poles being knocked down, the wind blows, the trees fall, the branches fall, they take down wires, and they take down poles. That's, it's no more complicated than that. What makes it complicated is the volume of damage, and here the damage has been extensive. Two priorities. First priority is get the power on as soon as possible and make sure people know what the expectation is. You've heard that from the utility companies. Sunday evening for the majority, a little bit into Monday, possibly into Tuesday. That's the expected timetable. So people are aware of that and then can make plans. We will do everything we can to assist the utility companies to try to expedite that time frame. We have obviously a statewide network of utility providers. And what we do in situations like this is we go to the other utility providers across the state and we ask them for help. And we expect them to help. And you will see crews and trucks coming into Monroe from all across the state. As far away as New York City, crews will already be on their way up to help. Why? Because this is not a unique circumstance or situation. Sometimes Monroe needs help, sometimes Buffalo needs help, sometimes Long Island needs help, and we're one state, and we help each other. And I'm proud of that. And we've always been there for each other. And it really is the silver lining in situations like this when you see how cooperative New Yorkers are and how people really pitch in. So we've been on the phone, we put out the call for help, and you'll see trucks and crews coming in from all across the state. It still takes time. It takes time to put poles back in the ground. It takes time to clear trees, hang wires, etc. But we're doing everything that we can to accelerate that. And as I said, crews from across the state will be coming in. Second priority is to make sure no one is hurt in the interim. Public safety is the main concern. As you heard from the county executive and the mayor, it's going to get colder, 21 degrees, 22 degrees. A house will get colder as time goes on. A home retains a certain amount of heat for a period of time. The walls, the floors, etc. As the weather drops, the house will get colder. 21, 22 degrees is serious. There are shelters set up. There are warming shelters. They will be staffed. And people should take that into consideration. And they should take it into consideration before it gets too late. If you think you may need help, it's better you call for help earlier rather than later. We will have a National Guard that will be involved, and we'll have additional National Guards people that will be on standby, but by tomorrow morning, we'll have 200 National Guards people here. They will be able to help with transportation, they'll be able to help with clearing of trees, they'll be able to help with management of shelters. Unfortunately, over the past few years, they've had too much experience in dealing with emergencies like this and weather situations like this. So people of Monroe should feel comfortable in their qualifications and their experience. And they are here, and more are coming, and as many as we need to help in this situation, we will have. Last point is, in a situation like this, we are New Yorkers, we're one family of New York, and we help each other. And this is one of the situations where we need to help each other. Check on a neighbor, check on an elderly neighbor, knock on a door, ask people if they need any help. Sometimes people can become disoriented in situations like this. So acting as a good neighbor is important. You're going to have utility crews that have been working around the clock and have not seen their families, and they're going to be exhausted. And a smile and a nice word can be helpful there. First responders that have been doing a great job. So let's help one another. Let's be supportive. Let's do what New Yorkers do best. We will get through this. All the help we need and the expertise we have on the ground. Again, it is a terrible inconvenience. We all understand that. We didn't cause it, but we're going to do the best we can to resolve it as quickly as possible. And if you need help, we have help that is ready. Thank you. Let me ask the mayor and the county executive to join me here for any questions from the press. My team was on the ground yesterday, working with the city and the county. So we were there literally, as you heard from the mayor. I spoke to her before the storm hit, during the storm, and our teams were working literally from the get-go. Actually, the National Guard and the Public Service Commission, as well as the New York Power Authority. They are the real work, and they started from day one. Well, I'm here today. That is the second step. We do a damage assessment after we take care. Let me take a step back. There are two steps. Basically, the emergency response, which is where we are now, get the power back on, make sure from a public safety point of view no one gets hurt and everybody's getting the help they need. That's the stage we're in now. After this stage, second stage is more of a damage assessment and determination as to whether or not we could qualify for federal emergency funds, and that will depend on the damage assessment. It's too early to tell. The federal government doesn't compensate for all damage. There are certain thresholds you have to hit, and they, not surprisingly, have a complicated formula. So we have to see what the actual damage is, what the cost to the localities actually is, what the cost to the city is, what the cost to the county is, and then we'll see if we qualify for the federal funds. If we do, we will be very aggressive in pushing for federal relief, but it's just too early to tell. Okay? Not yet, I will now. Okay, thank you very much.